Hi, I am Tim Kindem with Tim Kindem's Happy Clients Realty Advisors, and we're going to talk a little bit about today, what I do to help get happy clients, right? And I want to start with the name, Happy Clients Realty Advisors. I selected that name because I really wanted it to be about the clients, right? So frequently in this industry, you have people who are like, Bob Big Pants Realty Group or Susie Awesomeness Real Estate Team. And really, who cares about the real estate agent? What really matters is the results. And the results that I'm hoping to get are happy clients. So people who are satisfied with working with me and have a great experience and are ultimately happy. Now, how did I get to this point? A little bit about myself to start. Here I am with Puff Daddy. I used to work in the music industry. There's me right there. And it was a lot of fun in my 20s, but it was not very fulfilling, right? I was taking something that I loved and distilling it down to units and moving units, and it really wasn't making an impact in the world. Now, around this time, I bought my own first home, and here it is. It's a townhome in Minneapolis, and there it is right there. And once I bought it, I just felt so empowered. I thought, oh my gosh, this is my countertop and these are my floors and this is my thing to hang hangers on. And I thought, holy smokes, if I could help other people feel this every day when I get up in the morning, that is doing something in this world, right? And the reason I tell you that story is because I believe it really informs everything I do and how I operate with people. And it's been my guiding light ever since, okay? So that's a little bit about me. And now let's talk about me. That's all flowery and good, but what does it matter if we don't get results? So let's take a quick look at some of the results I have been able to get my clients. Here's an example of a place in Spring Lake Park, and we'll dissect all of these components in a while. Now, this is when they purchased it, right? So this is the presentation by a different real estate agent. You can see that at this time, which was in 2015, my clients purchased it for $148,000. That was significantly under the listed price of $159,900. Okay. And what can you see about this presentation? Well, it looks fine. The sales copy is whatever it is. And you can see when you get down here into the pictures and it looks sort of dark and it looks just fine, I guess. Okay, so now now they sold it, right? They moved out of state and they worked with me to sell it. You can see here, we got over the listed price. $189,900 was the listed price. We got $193,000, okay. And you can see here, I couldn't get a great sunny picture of the front, but I think you'll agree when you look at the rest of the pictures, that's a stark difference, right? So that's just an example. So, okay, great. Well, maybe the market was different, right? Well, let's take a look at what the stats say. When they purchased the home in 2015, the average sales price in Spring Lake Park was $173,000. When they sold the home in 2017, the average sales price was $196,950. That is a difference of 13.84%. However, we purchased for $148,000, we sold for $193,000. That is a difference of 30.4%. So by working with me, you're getting well over 15% better results on the buy side and sale side than you would have with another agent, okay? So now let's look at the components involved in having a successful sale. One of the things that's kind of hard to quantify when we're going through this, right? We can show pictures, we can show a sales copy, but it's the collaboration and the communication. So just one of the things that I do is I think I communicate exceptionally with my clients. 95% of my homes sell within the first 3 days of being on the market for over the listed price. But if they don't, here's what we get. Now, a lot of this stuff will also cover on the front end, which market statistics and things like that. But you can see this is the report they get. It shows what's going on in the market as a whole. It shows what kind of showing activities out there. It shows what kind of results we're getting versus some of the other results that I've got over the weekend, so that we can this shows some of the marketing that we're doing so that we can determine, do we need to change anything, right? Or are we on the right path, right? Here's just another example of that kind of report. In this case, we had to break it down by price range, and perhaps it will load, perhaps it won't. You can see here, we looked at different price ranges and how we compared versus that. So that's just an example, but back to the marketing. When we present a property, as you can see in that first example, we have pictures as being a big part of the deal. Here was a home in northeast Minneapolis that you can see these were the pictures from the agent who tried to sell it before me. You can see very dark and very, very grim and, gloomy, really. These are the pictures after I got the listing. And this was admittedly a dark property, but you can see just a night and day difference almost literally. And one of the things, just look at that window, how it just pops compared to how it did before in the other picture. She didn't have anything like this. Did you know there's a skyline view there? Well, what better way to show it than by actually taking that picture, okay? Here is another example of kind of bringing it all together. Here is, this is 2307 Brewster in St. Paul. You can see there's that one front picture. You can see here, part of the process, part of the presentation is the remarks, right? What are those? That's the sales copy. You can see we have public remarks, okay? That's what you see. That's what gets syndicated out across the internet. We have agent to agent remarks. Those are the marks that only the agents see among each other. And this is a very common thing. You wouldn't believe it. They say, see public remarks. But you had all of this space. You didn't even try to do something extra to help sell the property, right? And so what I do is, you can see here is the difference after I listed this property, okay? You can see I took one of the best parts of this property because, it was really unimpressive on the outside. It was just a house. Well, I took the remodeled kitchen and put it front and center. And then in these days, we didn't have a lot of room for sales copy, right? They limited the number of characters that we had. But what you can see is in the agent remarks, I added things about features list included in the supplements, a new furnace and AC. Neighbors get together at least twice a year for social and outdoor music in a little park with a gazebo. So yeah, it's a nice place to live, right? So we're painting a picture beyond just the sticks and bricks of what it's like to actually have a life in this place, right? And you think, well, maybe this agent was a hack. This is one of the top agents in this particular neighborhood, and this is the effort they give. So don't assume just because they have a hot reputation means that they are doing everything possible to sell your house, all right? So let's take a little example, some more examples of how I do things differently. You can see this home here. This was in South Minneapolis. You can see just based on these small pictures here, and I can show you the photo gallery, but it'd take forever to load, that, it's just a house and it's fine, right? But what it did have was this enormous yard in the backyard. And in Minneapolis, if you're familiar with the yards, they're not typically enormous, right? So here's what we do. Do you want to live in Minneapolis, but want a yard with enough space you can actually enjoy? Here's your home. It has one of the biggest, deepest yards in Minneapolis. Enjoy grilling, gardening, bonfires under the stars, and plenty of room for dogs to enjoy life, all in a safe, quiet South Minneapolis neighborhood. On top of that, you're just steps away from Morris Park. Have you noticed? I haven't even mentioned the house yet. Oh, and the yard comes with a fantastic home too. Classic Bungalow has a long list of updates and a smart layout, all in a room you want. Now, of course, we did list those updates and provided them with the, that in a printable list. But we asked the sellers with the buyers, what drew you to this home when you decided to make an offer over the listed price? And of course, what was it? It was the backyard. Of course it was. That was who was going to be willing to pay the most for this house. Here's another example. This is a home in Apple Valley. And what you can see about this home is it had this enormous garage, and it had kind of a dated interior. Well, definitely a dated interior. And the seller just wasn't interested in updating it. But what it did have was a car lift. And I grew up in Apple Valley, and I can tell you that's not a common thing for homes in Apple Valley. So here's our sales copy. Car lovers, do you live in your garage? In this this is the South Suburban Taj Mahal. The 3-stall, fully insulated and heated garage features a 2-post lift strong enough to lift up a full-size pickup and raise a car high enough to park another one underneath. And yes, of course, we do include pictures as well of the interior of the home, but you can see that, it's just a house, whereas the chair or the car lift was the selling feature. And sure enough, that is what drew the person who bought it to this home. All right, here's a home. What do you do with this? Holy smokes, is this dated? It's cool to me, but for the average buyer, that is not going to be what they're looking for, right? You can see here, we have, we have pink walls, and we have all sorts of dated stuff. Now, this is cool though, for a certain subset of people who are into this mid-century aesthetic. And so what did we do here? Well, I got a write-up in a nationally known blog called Retro Renovation. And what they do is they write articles on time capsule homes, and they have a huge following around the country. And sure enough, we ended up being able to sell it to someone who appreciated this style of home. So there you go. Here's some more examples. This is an example, again, of a mid-century home. You can see here, it's a Northeast Minneapolis home, which these kind of homes aren't necessarily typical. And you can see here, you know, someone who's looking for a modern, updated home, this is not going to be the home for them. So how do we get the kind of results that lead to an offer of $11,000 over the listed price, right? Well, let's look at the sales copy. You found it, the mid-century home you've dreamed of with the perfect mix of updating and preserved retro charm. Welcome home to refinished hardwood floors drenched by the southern sun. Take in views of wild turkeys, falling snow, and turning leaves through an enormous living room picture window as you relax by the crackle of a vintage flagstone surrounded wood-burning fireplace. Cook in a kitchen with updated appliances, including a 5-burner gas stove and glass backsplash married with classic cabinetry and Wilson Art laminate countertops. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's a lot of flowery stuff here, but why is it like this? Okay, when we're talking about taking in views through the picture window, we are painting a picture of what it's like to live there beyond just the sticks and bricks, right? As I've said before. Then we say 5-burner gas cooktop. What have we just revealed there? This is a home that is equipped for someone who wants to cook, right? A glass backsplash married with classic cabinetry and Wilson Art laminate countertops. Do you know what Wilson Art is? If you don't, you're probably not the kind of person that's going to be spending $10,000 over the listed price. And that's okay. We want someone who's going to see Wilson Art and say, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. Here is a condo near St. Paul. You can see we wanted to hit the gorgeous interior, bright and sunny, with cool brick and all that sort of thing with the first picture. But then what do? We show using drone footage how close it is to St. Paul. So it's how you present the picture order that can matter in some cases, right? This is the selling feature. It's a cool historic building close to downtown. Now we get inside. Now we see how bright it is. Now we see the character. And that is just a little detail that helps sell a home. And this was a bit of a challenging home. I advised the folks that probably 150 was the right place to list, and we were able to still get $10,000 over what I predicted it would get. All right, this one is a 1946 home in Roseville. Anyone who knows Roseville, suburb of Minneapolis and St. Paul, it's not typically full of 1946 homes, right? It is a gorgeous home, but it's just not what someone looking in Roseville is typically looking for. So who are we looking for in this case? Welcome home to a mid-century brick cottage overflowing with classic charm and just the right updates nestled under mature trees on nearly a half acre of secluded fenced yard. A rare opportunity to live in a home with post-war character of the inner city, but in a quiet neighborhood where the homes aren't on top of each other and the space and privacy of a hidden gem neighborhood, right? So we're looking specifically for someone who likes an older home, but doesn't want to live in the city. And sure enough, that's the kind of person willing to pay $40,000 over the listed price. Here's a home in Maplewood. This home's best feature, once again, was the backyard, okay? And in this case, they had a fine interior, but it was quite dated, right? So as you can see in the way we presented the pictures, you are scrolling through a lot of pictures of this gorgeous backyard before we even get inside. And that's on purpose. You can see inside, it is pleasant enough, but really the selling feature is the gorgeous backyard. I mean, some of these features are just not what someone is looking for in this day and age. I think they're cool. Some people think they're cool, but really the person that's going to spend over the listed price is looking for a great backyard. And I can tell you right now, we had an offer of $350,000, but the sellers just happened to like this offer better. We actually had 5 offers. All right. They just like the people who were buying it wrote a letter and they just seemed to connect with those sellers. Okay, what do you do with this one? Look at this house here. This has green shag carpet, knotty pine wood paneling. We have this kitchen. Wow. And again, this is my style of home, but I recognize this is not everyone's cup of tea, and it's not necessarily easy to sell in this day and age, right? So what do you do with a home like this? We appeal to someone who's going to want to spend as much in for a home like this. Welcome home to a classic, solidly built, easy to maintain Columbia Heights Rambler with the kind of throwback interior you've dreamed of. Already, we're concentrating on the good here, right? So many agents would take a home like this and hammer home the idea that it needs TLC and updating and all these things. Why? We want to spend our time marketing to someone who really wants to live in this home as it is. They're the one that's going to pay the most. And then we add here, do you love the look and feel of Old Northeast? Do you get a Hig-like feeling when you see wood paneling, green shag, and a vintage linoleum? Then you'll find coming home to this home like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket where the stresses of modern day life cease to exist as the serenity of the walls embrace you with the tranquility of a simpler time. Look, someone who wants this home is obviously intrigued by homes that have a throwback feel. So we want to hammer that home. And then I drop the bomb. This is likely your last opportunity for a home like this. Now is the time. The truth is, these homes are vanishing, right? And so if this is your style of home, this is it. You got to take this opportunity. You have to buy this home. You don't get another chance. You get it? But we also know that not everyone is that buyer, and we will take anybody's money. So what we want to do is we also want to feed something to the agent to give their clients who saw the pictures and say, well, I want to renovate this house and I want to make a profit, right? Fine. So what we do is we say, hey, we're obviously pitching this to the kind of buyer who would appreciate the interior for what it looks like. But if your buyer wants to sacrifice it to the god of moolah, there's plenty of upside here. Look at 50106, which has a smaller footprint and it ain't even that updated, and yet still sold for $240,500 with some basement finishing and a more contemporary look inside. So there's plenty of potential. So you see here, my voice changes. It's a different kind of sales copy. It's saying, hey, agent, I know what you're doing here. I'm like you. I know who you're showing this to. We're friends. And here's the deal. Your clients are on the fence about whether or not this is a good investment opportunity. Look, I just did the work for you. I just showed you exactly what you need to tell them in order to get them over the hump so that they know that this is also the home for them, right? All right, this is an example of a duplex that was occupied by tenants. Okay, so what do you do with that? Because tenants can make your sale a big challenge if they're not on your team. So what I do is I meet with tenants ahead of time and we talk about how the sale is going to unfold. And I tell them, look, I get that this is not the situation that you signed up for when you signed the lease. Just know that your lease will be honored and that I'm here to work with you and to make sure that your lives are intruded in as little as possible. And so what we do is we set up showing times that work for them. So we know that the tenants have agreed 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. That is when you can set up your showings, agent. You wouldn't believe how many times I've shown a home with tenants where I go in there with my buyers eager to see a place and there's tenants there and they say, well, we didn't know there was a showing today. Nobody told us. This is why we get out in front of that and work with them. And then we say, hey, you want this to be as over in as soon as possible? Then one of the things we can do is make this place look as good as possible. And I know that's not what you signed up for, but if you can help me do this, I'm confident we can get this place sold. So imagine 3 single gals on the upper level, 3 single guys in their mid-20s on the lower level. And this is what we were able to get them to do to present the home for sale. Okay. After I was able to talk with them and understand that we're all together, working together to get this home sold, they will be protected, they will be taken care of, and we will make sure that their lives are intruded on as little as possible. Right. So those are the guys on the lower level. This is what they were able to do. And it worked. As you can see, we sold for $10,000 over the listed price. One other thing here is this home had this weird bowing on the exterior, which looked really scary. So what do? Run from it? Nope. We put it right in the agent copy. You might notice some bowing in the brick exterior on the north side of the building. Seller reports that it was like that when they purchased it in 2006, and it has not changed. A structural engineer gave it the okay back then, but we can't find the report. We're confident it would pass any future evaluation. See, we want to get out in front of that rather than leave some sort of mystery when they look at it like, what's this? This looks scary. We're not buying this. Okay, it's an example of $1 million plus listing. Okay, And, it's really not that different. Other than that, a lot of times when we're talking about 4,400 square feet, we have 101 pictures rather than 50 pictures or something like that. So you can see a little bit different look and feel. And then, and we can even do this on lower priced homes, but you can see here with a home like this, we're using video and we're getting, because we're gonna have to market it in so many more places in so many more ways often. So, it's just another way of marketing a property that we do. All right. So that is that. Next one. This is a home. This is the opposite end of the spectrum. This was a home where the seller, she just did not have any money to fix up the property. And she had lived there for many, many years. And it was time to move on, right? And she was ready to sell. And here's the thing. She was getting hit up by plenty of these charlatans, swindlers. We buy ugly houses, we'll buy homes for cash, easy sale, that kind of thing. And what these people do is they offer someone like this, 75 cents on the dollar to buy a home fast for cash, right? And you won't have to work with any of these real estate agents, and you won't have to pay any closing costs. But what they're not telling them, and sometimes they even lie about these numbers, is that the typical real estate commission is about 6%, right? To sell a house with a real estate agent. And the typical closing costs, to pay the title company, various taxes, things like that, those are about 2%. So a very safe number to use when selling a home is 8% to sell. Those are your costs to sell. Well, these guys are offering, 15 cents on the dollar. So right there, they're already getting a huge discount from what you could make on the open market. And I said 15 cents, but I meant 75 cents on the dollar around that area, right? That's how they make their money. They get to you and they assume that you don't know anything about how real estate works and that they're going to take advantage of you. So I talked to this gal, and her daughter is a longtime client of me and said, you should talk to Tim. And I said, look, I'm confident that we can put your home on the market and get you much more. And you won't even have to do a thing. You can just move out, we'll get it on the market. And I promise that the market will take care of you and I will take care of you. And, she had offers from these charlatans of $100,000. And I said, I know you can do better. And look at what we did. $150,000. That is game changing. That is life changing. And that is so much better than being taken advantage of by people who talk slick. Okay. And then, so how do we market this? All right. Finally, your opportunity to restore a classic 2-story bungalow with a timeless floor plan to its original glory. Beautiful bones include hardwood floors, virtually maintenance-free siding, and vintage character throughout. A breezy front porch leading into a living room brightened by the eastern sun. A generously sized formal dining room with a classic style kitchen all serve as the palette of the art of restoration. So yeah, we know that this is a restoration project, but why concentrate on TLC and as is sale, right? I mean, the home has some good things going for it, right? It has a new furnace, water heater, fuel tank. So many agents are going to look at this and be like, fixer-upper opportunity, handyman special. And that you're already painting the picture of, what a piece of junk. Why would I pay premium dollar for this, right? I approach it from a different angle. But again, we're talking to the agents in the agent remarks. Come on, you've been looking for an opportunity to burr, haven't you? Those wholesalers aren't coming through. So how about working with an actual legit professional sale? Check the ARV comps. There's plenty of potential in this renovation. Again, speaking with a different voice, speaking with jargon. And why is that important when I put those agent remarks in there? Because they want to know that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm not just trying to put one over on them, that I'm not trying to say, oh, this is a good opportunity, but I really don't know what a good opportunity is. See, I know what a good opportunity is. I'm using their language. I'm telling them exactly why it's a good opportunity. Look, seller reports that the home next door was a horror show before it was fixed up and sold for $220,000 in 2019. Imagine what it would fetch today. So again, speaking to them in their language so that they can talk to their clients about this being a good opportunity. All right. This is an example of an outside the box way I helped a set of clients. They had an offer for $190,000 that was set to close. And the Saturday before it was set to close, the buyer's financing fell through and they could no longer purchase the property. Uh-oh, what are we going to do here? My clients were ready to move to Florida. Well, if we go back on the market we would most likely sell, but it could be a problem because now we've got the scarlet letter. Buyers are going to see that this home was on the market, went off the market, and now it's back. And everyone's going to wonder what went wrong. So what if there was another way to do this? I called all of my colleagues and said, hey, who's been working with someone who wasn't able to buy, who lost out on a property in this area? And sure enough, I found an agent who had a listing in the area, and they got multiple offers, and a number of the agents were representing buyers who didn't get the property. So I called one of those agents and I said, here's the deal. We got a property that I think is very similar to the one you lost out on. If you're willing to give us the offer that we had, 190,000, we won't even go back on the market. So what we're doing is we're using the leverage of the market, right? To give them exclusive access. And that was our best bet because, again, it's better to do that than go back on with the scarlet letter. And sure enough, that buyer, it was the perfect fit. They got it done. They got their financing in order. We sold, yes, the closing date was kicked out, but nobody was going to buy it any faster. And so we ended up selling that property for the same price that we were going to otherwise. And then this is an example of this crazy situation that's going on right now in the market. Just because your agent has a ton of experience and talks with authority doesn't mean that they're making the right choice for you. And what I mean by that is right now in this market, we have a ton of homes that are selling for over the listed price. Yes, I showed you a bunch of examples of my listings, but this is, this does happen quite frequently in a competitive market. But what happens is, and I'm on a number of these realtor to realtor forums on Facebook and different kind of online groups. And so we, mastermind, and, it's generally very friendly, talk about the industry, but many people say, well, when I talk to my clients about these offers and we're reviewing these offers, we talk about what's realistic in terms of what it can appraise for and what it can't appraise for. And so when we get these wild, fantastic offers, we're just not even accepting them in some cases. And I say, well, I guess I just don't understand that because I'm not the appraiser and you're not the appraiser. So how do we know what they're going to appraise for? So this case, this is a perfect example. This home was listed at 374.9. There was a home in the same neighborhood that we all agreed. The sellers and I agreed. This was a superior home and it was listed for $415 and it was under contract. We didn't know what the contract was, but we were pretty confident it was pretty close to that price based on when they received their offer and the tone of the market when they received that offer. Okay, so this is how we came up with our listed price of $374.9. We received an offer for $450,000, and we all agreed. We thought that was nuts. We were very grateful for it, but we thought it was going to be a challenge to get it appraised. But my response was, I don't know. Do you want to try? I'm not the appraiser. You're not the appraiser. Might as well try. What's the worst that could happen? It appraises for what we expect it to appraise for anyway. And then, we still get great results and we go off on our merry way and you guys get to move on to your next home. And they were like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's try it. And sure enough, an appraiser saw it differently. So what we did was we just didn't do their job for them. We let them do their job, right? And it turns out that worked out best for us. So just because an agent, it has authority and they speak like they know what they're talking about, doesn't necessarily mean they're making the right choices for you. All right. Speaking of other agents, this is one of my favorite ones. Just an example of sales copy where, you think, okay, so Tim writes sales copy, big deal. This is an example of another agent's sales copy. Quaint home that's full of tons of character, lots of updates, cove doorways, 2 fireplaces, great, tons of character. Well, establish that. New 3/4 bath, new carpet throughout, stainless steel with granite columns. So that's fine. Lots of old word character, right? So I just love that one. Okay, so one more time, we'll just hammer home like what kind of actual results we get when it's all said and done. So this is one from Woodbury. You can see that when my client bought it and they worked with someone else because they didn't even know me, they bought it for $218 back in 2015. And then they were referred to me. We sold it for $250,000 in 2017. Okay, but here's the thing. When they bought it, the average sales price was $182. When they sold it, the average sales price was $193,200. That's a difference of 6.15%. By working with me, they outperformed the market by 8%, right? Over 8%. That's just one example. All right, so here's another example. This is one, I love this one because this shows, buying and selling. So here's a gal, when she bought this home, it was listed at 154.9. She bought it for 152,500. And what was amazing was that it was listed as a 2-bedroom house. Okay, so now I'd worked with this gal before, and she had rehabbed a home, and she had a lot of skills. And when we talked about putting it up for sale, we talked about all these different things that she could do, to get ready for sale. And this is what it looked like when she bought it, right? So we get back together again, and she goes, you know what, Tim, I just didn't really do anything. I didn't really feel like it. So you can see, but just look, different presentation with the same house. Yes, she painted the walls, but other than that, I mean, look at the kitchen. It's the exact same, but totally different look and feel to those pictures. The other thing that was key is 3 bedrooms. Did you know that the definition of a bedroom doesn't necessarily need to include a closet? It doesn't. That is a thing that not even every real estate agent knows. And the difference between 2 bedrooms versus 3 bedrooms is huge when it comes to real estate. So we took the actual legal definition of a bedroom and realized we had a 3-bedroom home. And what do you think our results were? 221 when we listed for 199. And here's the thing. When she bought it, right? What did she buy it for? She bought it for 152.5. The average sales price in this neighborhood was 164,270, right? So she way outperformed the market when she bought. What was the average sales price when she sold? 206,138. Well, she sold it for 221. So she bought it for way under the market price, sold it for way under the market average, right? So, okay, so you're saying, well, that's easy, right? This market is hot, right? Prices have been going up year after year since 2013, and all that's true. Well, let's take a look at one where I was the seller's agent and then someone else tried to sell it later on to the person who bought it. Okay, so this was back in 2013. You can see 37 days on the market. Well, what can I say? Back in those days, it took longer to sell homes. Still sold it over the listed price. You can see it was listed for 235. We sold it for 238. And here is our presentation. By now, you're probably seeing this style. Bright, sunny. We always take our pictures on a sunny day, and showing off the character, showing a lot of light. People love light, and even showing that in the springtime, what happens around this house, trees do magical things. Okay, so that is what we presented it as. Now, this was in 2013. In 2015, after 155 days on the market, what did it sell for? $238,000, less than the listing price. That is, you may remember, what we sold it for. And look at that presentation here. Dark, 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 dark. Now, what happened? You may say, well, yeah, but what was going on in that neighborhood? Well, when we sold it, the average sales price in this neighborhood was $159,711. When they sold it, the average sales price was $186,580. That is an increase of 16.82%. Their increase was 0%. So in other words, I outperformed the market for my clients. And just another example of, you may say, yeah, well, what about an agent who lists $2.6 million properties, $2.7 million properties? Those guys are on their game, so surely they can handle the sale of my, smaller priced house if that's someone's philosophy. But just look at this. This is the sales copy. You'll see here in the agent remarks. It's the same as the public remarks. This is can you imagine the commission they stand to earn from that? And this is the effort they're giving. They didn't even notice after 173 days on the market that they didn't even finish the last sentence. It sat like that for 173 days. And wouldn't you know it, this home did not sell. It has been converted into an Airbnb you can stay at right now, but the same person owns it. And that is the difference between how I operate for my clients and other agents operate for their clients. And this is why I believe that my clients are the happiest clients in real estate and why I want to work with you.